Jeff Francis, Ubaldo Jimenez, Josh Fogg. Aaron Cook tonight, you tip your cap to him, pitched great, but those three other guys did not have the performances that Colorado needed. They needed to steal a game at Fenway Park, go back to Colorado with a little momentum. They never got that going.
No, you saw as a whole they just couldn't get it done, but you did see why they were successful. You know, in the National League, they did have some pop in the middle of that lineup. They did have a good lineup for that league. More importantly, they had a great bullpen. You know, they really had a great bullpen. We didn't get to see that much of Corpus, which is nice being the closer. We don't want to see that guy.
Right.
So, but you did see Fuentes, you saw Hawkins, Affelt, Hergis. You can understand why this team got there, but at the same point, they couldn't get to the point where they could set this bullpen up ahead late in the game. They couldn't go to it, and the Red Sox did. They shut it down, and that was it.
You're listening to Framingham's own Lou Merlone, former Red Sox infielder, played with the Cleveland Indians as well, still playing ball. Tom Ellis to my right, monitoring news situations as well. Mike Giardi here. You're looking at live pictures outside of Fenway Park and of Kenmore Square. People enjoying themselves. But again, everything seems to be fairly calm. Chris Collins, he's in the middle of his all kind of celebration with John Lester. Take it away with the big trophy.
All right, Red Sox winning pitcher John Lester. What do you got here, John?
What's it look like? I got the World Series, got the World Series trophy right here.
What a performance tonight. You turned it up. You know, you hadn't had a start since September. You brought your best game to the field today.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but a lot to Tech. Tech did a great job of controlling the game and controlling the tempo, and you know, owe a lot to him and a lot to the defense and offense tonight. They did a great job.
Was it tough keeping the emotions in check early in this ball game as you settled in?
No, it really wasn't. When I was pitching, I was fine. It was when I came out of the game. I had to sit there and watch the game from there. You know, it was tough, but I'm just glad it worked out the way it did.
All the starting pitching, you look at the entire series, everybody seemed to pick up everybody else. The starting pitching was just so strong for this team.
Yeah. Beckett's done a great job. You know, Schilling stepped up, and Wake and Cleveland, and Daisuke last night, you know, had a great start. So, and the bullpen's been great all year. They've been the best bullpen in the league, and it showed again tonight.
I was talking to you earlier. You seem to be keeping your emotions in check after all you've gone through over the last year.
Yeah, trying to at least. I said it really hasn't sunk in yet. You know, it's been a great year and a lot of ups and downs. And it's just great that it ended this way.
When you look around at the scene, I mean, we might as well be in Boston.
Yeah, might as well. Fans have been great. This is the way they've been all year. You know, they follow us around, and every away game's a home game. We always have more Boston fans than the other team, and it's great. You know, they're always there to support us and cheer us along.
In a one-run game, you see that ball leave the bat in the ninth inning. You see Ellsbury going after it. What were you thinking?
Not good thoughts. But Els got back there and made the catch, and luckily it stayed in the park. So I guess things were on our side tonight.
So many young guys contributing to this team. So many guys that you spend a lot of time with in the minors. Yeah. It's got to be gratifying to come up here with all.
It really is. Just because you work so hard in the minor leagues to get to this point, and then to be a part of this, something special like this is unbelievable. And you know, I'm just glad that they were here to with me and be a part of this. And I'm just fortunate enough to be a part of this team. It's a lot of great guys, which is more important than what we do on the field. They're a good group of guys, and they care a lot about each other.
After you battled cancer, if you had to write an ending, would this be it?
You couldn't have written it any better. I mean, if you had to write an ending, I don't think this would come up. It's like I said, I'm just fortunate enough to be a part of this and get the pitch and do well and get the win.
Go ahead, throw up the trophy. Be proud of it.
Let's get that on TV.
All right, Red Sox pitcher John Lester, tonight's winning pitcher. Just an amazing job. I don't know what else you can say about him. Yeah, we had that rough outing in game number 2 in the ALCS. He came back nicely in game number 4, 3 scoreless innings, and then he kind of built off that performance tonight where he was really spectacular. Just really the way all the other pitchers have been for the Boston Red Sox. As the party here in Denver, Colorado continues, it's just a sea of people, media, Red Sox, family members. It's just an amazing scene. We have seen it before. We've seen it in 2004. We've seen them celebrate before, whether it be a wild card win, whether it be the ALCS, whether it be the division championship. But there's been a lot of victories since Henry and Warner took over. And now there's a party. You know, now there's a legitimate party with John Lester hoisting the trophy over his head. Tonight's winning pitcher, Lester's going to enjoy this for a long, long time. Of course, we all know his story. The story is remarkable enough. coming back from cancer, beating cancer, and tonight beating the Colorado Rockies. All right, let's go back to the studio with Mike and Lewis standing by. An amazing scene, but guys, like I said, we have seen it all before, and it never, ever gets old.
Yeah, in 2004, the St. Louis ballpark was opened in the 7th inning to fans on the street who did not have tickets for the game, and they stormed the field and were able to enjoy that experience. Tom Ellis alongside. I don't know if they did that tonight in Denver. It certainly feels that way. Tom Ellis alongside with some updates from what's going on in Boston.
Well,
Tom?
Chris has a crowd celebrating there. My goodness, Kenmore Square a while ago was just absolutely jammed, but looks like things have cleared out a little bit. Brad Puffer, what do you see down there?
Well, the center of Kenmore Square has been clear the whole time because they've been blocking off the streets, but a large crowd had gathered at the end of Beacon Street about 400 feet away from the center of Kenmore Square. Riot police moved down about 10 minutes ago in a large show of force. They lined up and then they began pushing the crowd back. The idea of police all along was to let people have a peaceful and fun celebration. If the Red Sox were to win, they did win. People poured out of the bars all around Kenmore Square and the clubs where they had been watching the game. They went into a celebration. People were body surfing. There were some fireworks lit. There were people screaming and chanting, "Go Red Sox." Then, after about a half hour, 45 minutes, it looks like police said enough is enough. It's time to head back home, and that's what is going on right now. We also saw a lot of riot gear. Police head up Brookline Ave as well, perhaps to another location, and some police on horses have now come into the middle of Kenmore Square. But for the most part, it seems to be effective. It seems like police are being able to move fans down the street and away from Kenmore Square, and they're hoping that people at some point will just decide it's time to go home. We've celebrated enough, and we'll come back for the parade in a couple of days. Tom?
Well, Brad, if you remember what precipitated that fatal incident in Kenmore Square or on Lansdowne Street last year, somebody in that crowd of 80,000 people threw a bottle. It landed near one of those mounted police. It spooked his horse, and that's when police began firing those pepper spray pellets. Have any of this crowd, anybody in this crowd started throwing bottles yet?
We've seen some things thrown up into the air in celebration, perhaps some water bottles. We did see one arrest. I can tell you that we saw at least one person brought into a van, perhaps an incident involving police. We don't know for sure. But for the most part, I would say it's been fairly peaceful, although I am in the middle of Kenmore Square where there is absolutely nobody. And that's a far different scene than it was in 2004 when everybody poured in from all of the different streets that feed into Kenmore Square. And this place was packed with people, both at the end of the ALCS against the Yankees and then again at the end of the World Series. There were people climbing the posts, breaking signs, cars were lit on fire, and that was the scene they did.
We'll get back to you in a little bit. Sorry to interrupt, but there's some important things going on.
Some important business going on in Denver, Colorado. Chris Collins joined by one of the heroes of the night, one of the longtime members of that bullpen, Mike Timlin. Go ahead, Chris.
That light's warm. It's kind of nice.
Mike Timlin enjoying the light. It's warming him up. It is kind of cold. A lot of Bud Light, a lot of champagne on that shirt, but it says it all. 2007 World Series champion.
My fault. World Series champions. Here we go. One more time.
It never gets old for you. You did it as a rookie, and you're doing it again. Obviously, you did it in 2004 as well. Pretty good collection here.
I've got a great collection. We did back-to-back. Took a couple of years off here in Boston in between, but you know, God's blessed me with tremendous talent and a tremendous amount of teammates, and it's been great.
The job the bullpen did in the postseason, fantastic.
Same job that we've been doing all year long. You know, these guys have come up in crucial situations all year long, and you know, they've shown how to pitch. Okajima's pitched great. Del Carmen pitched great. Schneider, everybody. You know, Donley, Papelbon, you know, all of them, and they've been unbelievable. I'm honored to be associated with them.
Have you seen a talent like Papelbon ever?
Have I seen talent like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of times. There's some Hall of Famers out there, and you know, he's tremendous. You know, he pitches with as much heart as he does, you know, with a hard fastball. It's awesome.
When that ball left the bat in the ninth, and I've been asking everybody this. What were you feeling?
Oh my, yeah. The guy he hit it, and we were like, well, you know, could happen. You know, this is thin air, and it can travel like that. But God saw it a different way and put it in our court.
Now, you've been on that mound in a series clincher before.
Yes, sir.
When you watch someone else doing it, what runs through your mind?
I'm just happy for them. I'm happy because I've been there, I've done that, and I'm happy that they're able to be there and do that for them.
Now you look at this team. There's some veterans. There's obviously some young guys.
Right.
Can we keep those veterans around and do it again another time in 08?
Well, that's decisions that not up to me. The front office will have to make those decisions, and we'll see. But
how do you rank them? Your World Series victories now.
In 2004, after 86 years of really tough heart, and bad luck, that one's pretty high on the list. But they never come easy, and the more you're here, the more you realize how hard it is to be here and what it takes to be here. Not just from one guy, but from 25 guys, as hard as they can go, and as hard as they can play. And you can't put one in front of the other. They are all equal.
Could you ever imagine that you'd be 8-0 in your last 8 World Series games?
Could I ever what?
Could you ever imagine you'd be 8-0 in your last 8 World Series games?
No, I could never imagine that, and it's tremendously awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Red Sox pitcher Mike Timlin. One of the key components of that bullpen, but again, one of those veterans who may not be around next year. There's a lot of guys on this team out of that 25 that, you will probably be saying bye to. Curt Schilling, obviously one of the big ones. All of them say they want to come back. Mike Lowell, he's a free agent. He also expressed an interest of coming back, but there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of business to be done in the offseason. But right now, it's about a party, it's about a celebration, it's about the Red Sox taking another World Series, their second in 4 years. Let's go back to the studio with Mike and Lou.
Thank you, Chris. Chris Collins in Coors Field enjoying the scene. Red Sox world champions sweeping the Colorado Rockies. Former Sox infielder Lou Merlone alongside. So many things to touch on. We heard from John Lester there. Clint Hurdle said God's fingerprints were on this one. Now, whether you want to get into that or not, the fact that Lester and Cook, two guys who'd been through a lot personally, got a chance to pitch, and both of them performed extremely well under a lot of pressure. But for Lester, certainly, as he said, the storybook ending to what has been an unbelievable 14 months or so for him.
Yeah, you think about where this guy's come from. I mean, battling through, the determination, it's just got to be special for this. Put this kid out there in the mound to be able to win the final game of the World Series, the clinching game. It's just special. Like you said, you couldn't think of this ending. I think you could think of this ending. It'd probably turn into a movie, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's just great to see this kid.
You going to write a screenplay for that thing?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I don't know. Maybe I'll play a little extra, a little infield somewhere. But very great, special story. So the kid deserves it. They're going to enjoy this thing. And like you said, the brass, the big boys, they got some decisions to make here, business decisions in the future.
And they got some good guys to learn from. Obviously, Curt Schilling has had a great major league career, has been a wonderful big game pitcher over the years. You know the numbers by now. And then, of course, Josh Beckett emerges on the scene. The Sox are already talking about sending Lester and Buchholz to work out with Beckett at some point this offseason. That's how much they respect what Beckett means to these guys and how hard he works at his craft.
Well, you want these guys to be together. That's a starting rotation. Josh Beckett, obviously a great work ethic to turn the pitcher, the type of pitcher that he is right now. So you get these young kids in, work with them, see the type of preparation it takes to get ready. This is their first experience of a full major league season. Playing into September, minor league season ends at the end of August, or 1st of September. Playing through September, now playing all the way through October. You learn that you really have to get yourself physically prepared to go through this. So they're going to be out there hopefully working hard, getting ready, and become that pitching staff of the future.
It's just about a year ago people were wondering about Josh Beckett, if the Red Sox had done the right thing, not only making that trade for Hanley Ramirez down to Florida, and of course we know what kind of player Hanley Ramirez has turned out to be. Beckett with that really difficult year, his first year in Boston, an ERA over 5, gave up a ton of home runs, 37 I believe if memory serves me correctly. But here's a guy who worked on it, he got better, he learned the league, he trusted his catcher a little bit, and it all came together for him. And he's not going to win the Cy Young, I don't believe. I think that's going to be CC Sabathia, but Beckett's certainly been a great pitcher.
Well, location, definitely. You talk about, everyone's like, why can't this guy get, wins? And why isn't his ERA at 3, 2.5? He's got 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a devastating curveball and a good changeup. Location. This year he located. He threw strikes. He can't go out there and just throw 97 down the middle of the plate and expect to get by. He located his fastball, moved it in and out, worked with Varitek. He knows these hitters in the American League. Trusted that curveball, trusted that changeup, turned into the dominating pitcher that he is. And he was an absolute lock in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that made all the difference in the world going forward. Of course, being able to win Game 5 with Beckett, bring it back to Boston against Cleveland, and we know what a different team they were in Boston. You saw that up close and personal, breaking into double digits in both those games. You know, his emotion 2 years ago was a problem for him. At least some people pointed it to as a problem. This year, people fed off that attitude. The Kenny Lofton, he didn't like the bat flip, and he said something to him, and it seemed almost as if it was part of a rallying cry for this team. Our pitcher's ready to do whatever it takes, and people seem to pick up on that.
Well, he's the leader, and he's going to be the leader for many years. So they are going to feed off what he does. They are going to look at him and see how he handles big situations, how he handles himself. Certain situations with Kenny Lofton, talking about it, well, he's going to go out there and control it himself, stay under control his emotions, and continue to stay in this ball game, give him great innings. So he's going to be the leader, the guy these young kids look up to. He's a young guy, you know, himself. You know, he's 27 years old, but he's been in this league now for 7 years. So for a kid who's 27, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, I'm not always right. God knows I'm not always right. But with Beckett, I thought you make that trade 99 out of 100 times. Heck, 100 times out of 100 times when you can get a guy who's in his prime, a guy that could be an ace. He has developed into that. And as you said, he's still a young man. Him, Dice K at the front of that rotation for years and years to come.
Yeah, you got to like that situation. And plus they're tied up. You know, you got him an extension. He's going to be cheap. You got Dice K cheap. These other two guys, you know, Lester, Buchholz, you're going to own them for 3 years before they even hit arbitration, so they're going to be cheap. So what that does, it allows you to go out and maybe get one more stud with them, or allows you to go out and get these other free agents, along with the luxury of Ellsbury, Pedroia, cheap. These guys are cheap. So now they go out there and spend that money.
Yeah, he was the LCS MVP. Mike Lowell, who came along in that deal as the quote-unquote salary dump, he is the World Series MVP. I mean, that is a trade that at the time, Theo Epstein was not the general manager. There's been some reports that maybe Theo did not like that trade, but it worked out wonderfully for the Red Sox, for Josh Beckett, for Mike Lowell. Chris Collins joins us from Denver, Colorado. He has the captain, the man who called another great game, Jason Varitek.
Red Sox captain Jason Varitek, 2004, you did it again just a few years later. There's an unbelievable scene out here in Denver.
It is. I don't know what to say. You're going to have to lead me better than that.
Talk about the performance of your pitcher tonight. We'll start with Lester, and I think it goes on from there.
I can't say what a job he did. We had some tough situations. He had 3 or 4 tough situations to get out of to keep that game at a run game. And he's just, I was, you know, you didn't know. Had to kind of evaluate what was going on, you know, how his sharpness was going to be, try to stick with his strengths, try to continue to be aggressive, and he continued, you know, he got to a point in his bullpen, or the ball didn't, you know, he wasn't commanding the ball where he wanted to, and then he got to a point where he just said, okay, I'm gonna do what I can do, and he did what he could do tonight.
It seemed like all series long, you really made an emphasis on utilizing the fastball. Was there something you saw in the scouting reports when you looked over this team that you were going to really be aggressive?
Yes and no. Scoreboard dictates a lot. Situation dictates a lot. Who's hitting dictates. The guy on the mound, what his strengths are, dictates. It's a combination of all of that. I have some overall philosophies and stuff, but I'm not done playing yet. I'll speak about those when I'm done.
Like that pickoff of Holiday. You didn't really give up a whole lot on that either.
Well, no, I have to give Brad Mills that credit because that's where it came from. You know, he controls the running game and is in charge of that. Allows me the freedom to concentrate on the hitters.
Now you're down in this thing 3-1 in the ALCS. You have a team meeting. For whatever reason, the switch goes off and you just keep winning. You never lose after that. Can you share anything that was said in that meeting?
We've had a few meetings. Excuse me. We've had a few meetings, and that was just a meeting of just going out and, you know, trying to win that inning. The same thing we had met about when we left in Toronto. When we were struggling a little bit, and then we ended up clinching at least a wild card spot shortly after. But, you know, Kurt spoke, David spoke, we had different people speak, and I think the focus of this team, you have to continue to go back to the little things and focus on what you can control. You can't control if you line out. That has nothing to do with it. You can control with your approach at the plate. You control with, you hang a breaking ball. Well, you don't hang the next one. You only focus on the next pitch. And those things are so important in this game because such the little things mean the difference in big games.
How did you make the seamless transition for all the young kids, all the rookies, the Pedroias, then later in the year the Ellsburys and even Lester? Was the transition so smooth, and how did you help accommodate those guys?
Well, I can't say, Petey, I think there's some different people communicate with Petey early. Doug has to be credited. I know Doug spoke to me, hey, something got you here. Be you. Because he was trying to change his swing and do all these things. And finally, boom, Petey was able to come into his own. Ellsbury, was going around tippy-toed for a little while and stuff. Like, hey, you're part of this team. You don't have to bow down to other people. You're a part of us. So we're going to treat you that way. You can treat us that way. And, their contributions have been tremendous. But, we had like Gabbard, Lester, different pitchers that have helped. Corey, different people constantly filled those roles. And then late we had our consistency of Timlin, of Okajima and Papagian. And those things give you consistency.
Would you like to see Curt Schilling back for at least one more year in a Red Sox uniform?
I would tremendously love to see that man retire in this uniform.
Terry Francona, your skipper, without a contract, does he get the credit he deserves?
Well, he's another one. I didn't know he was without a contract, but I don't always get into all that, but Tito has to. It starts from the top and works its way through a team.
2004, compare the two teams. Which is a better team?
Totally different teams. Hardly any youth in that team. Tremendous amount of experience. A lot of thunder in the lineup. A lot of different elements in this lineup. With a mix of both young and experience.
Before you go, Lou Merloni's back in our studio. Say something to Lou.
That's a great man. I hear he's going to be getting married.
He's a new man now all of a sudden.
Oh, no, that's a tremendous.
You don't know. You'll have to tell me.
No, that's a tremendous teammate and a tremendous guy to have on your team. And every opportunity I've had to play with him, it's just a testament to Lou. I love Lou, and Lou's always a Red Sox.
All right, we're going to throw some Jonathan Papelbon sound. Pap, amazing, huh? Red Sox closer Jonathan Papelbon. Got it done in the ninth inning. It was a little sketchy there, Tank.
I wouldn't say sketchy.
Well, with the Ellsbury catch, was your heart in your throat?
No, I actually didn't even think the ball was hit that well, but it was.
Was that your call or his?
Oh, we threw the ball where we didn't want to, down and in. That was the only place we didn't want to go with him.
Red Sox captain Jason Varitek, congratulations. Let's hear it from Papelbon.
Yeah, it's completely amazing, man. I don't even know what to say, man. It's just something that you ask the good Lord above to take you here, and He took us here, man. And it's just phenomenal, man. It's just phenomenal.
You feel like you had more to give in this postseason? You took it to another level, personally?
No, I don't feel like I could have given any more, man. I'm gassed right now. Looking forward to our offseason, man.
How about the Rockies? You know, they never died. They made it interesting tonight.
Yeah, no, they got a great ball club over there, man. They're going to be in the race for years to come with all those young kids over there, man. And it's just phenomenal, man, phenomenal.
When you look around at your clubhouse, you got a lot of young guys in here too. You can do it again and again and again.
Yeah, you know, hopefully, man.
Can you say hi to Panama?
Absolutely exhausted, very emotional, Jonathan Papelbon.
Oh.
He gets ramped up.
Is he all right?
You know, when you see him, I'm just talking even in a regular season, when he pitches in the game in the ninth inning, extra inning situation, save situation, he gets so amped up that when you see him after, and it's a cool down period, we don't get in there 10, 15 minutes till after it's over, and he's still ready to pitch. I mean, the veins are still going, he's still fired up. He's pretty worked up right there.
Is he like that all the time? Or it's just the high altitude.
The altitude may have something to do with it.
Like he was
that may be a little champagne. I don't know, but yeah,
Maybe.
he is pretty keyed up. Again, a dominating performance. As Veritek said, we threw the ball where we didn't want to. He didn't think it was that well hit. I think everybody else thought it was that well hit. But Ellsbury there to make the play.
You know, Tech touched upon some things he didn't want to give out some secrets.
Right. Still playing, he says.
You know, there's a lot of things, and it's not a big secret, but I know Tech. I know how they handle some of these guys. They'll be facing some of the big hitters early in the game, and it's like the Red Sox up 3-0, they're facing Holiday. They won't exactly attack into 2 outs, nobody on. They don't attack this guy the way they will later on in the game. They don't want to show him how they're going to get him out. So they might go after him a different way. You know, 2 outs, nobody on. Hey, let's go get this guy. All of a sudden now he comes up in the 8th inning. He remembers how he attacked. You know, they attacked him maybe in the 2nd inning. They change the script on him a little bit. He makes the adjustments. He's amazing. He's got game plans on how to attack guys in certain situations. Game on the line. Not a tough situation at all. Different, you know, kind of keep the hitter off, you know, off base a little bit because this is a game of adjustments. Big league hitters figure those things out. He changes it up. It's great.
Terry Francona has now joined our Chris Collins in Denver, Colorado, the winning manager for the 2nd time in 4 years.
All right, Red Sox skipper Terry Francona, first and foremost, congratulations. You got production from everybody, 1 through 25.
I agree with that. I agree with that. If we don't, we're not here. And that's probably what makes it even more special because we got things from everybody. Leadership, production, nobody stopped playing ever.
You feel like sometimes you don't get enough credit. Every move you made this series basically came up gold for you.
I don't care. That's not about getting credit. It's about winning. And it's about staying true to yourself. And our staff does a very good job of that.
2004 is 86 years. This is a little bit different.
It's not, maybe different, but not less special. It'll never get less special.
You talk about the job your starting pitcher did tonight in John Lester.
Yeah, we tried to downplay maybe some of the emotional stuff before the game. There's no denying that having him on the mound was very, very special.
You're down 3-1 to Cleveland. The guys have a team meeting. They flick the switch, and all of a sudden they go on a roll. And it was similar to the way it happened in 04, where they just got on a roll and you just couldn't beat them.
Well, but they didn't really flip a switch. What they did was stay true to what they believed in. And don't stop and take a deep breath or feel sorry for yourself. And because we have very good players, we were able to get on a roll. And because of that, we're here.
Finally, before you go, we just talked to catcher Jason Veritek, and you look at what your pitchers were able to do in the postseason. How much goes to Veritek being the backstop and that stabilizing force back there?
We'll never downplay his significance. He's a rock back there, and I guarantee you talk to him now, he's exhausted. That's because he leaves everything out there every single night.
Do we get Schilling back for 1 more year?
You better talk to Theo.
And do we get Terry Francona back for at least 1 more year?
Yeah, I'm under contract. I'll be here.
All right, an extension? All right. Red Sox manager Terry Francona, what else can you say? You know, he did the job. He did the job again as the party continues here down in Denver, Colorado. The thin air of Coors Field didn't really pay dividends for the Colorado Rockies. A huge home field advantage throughout the regular season. Since June the 1st, they won over 70% of their ball games here at Coors. But in this World Series in the year 2007, they couldn't muster 1 win against the world champion Boston Red Sox. What I said at the beginning of the series, I thought for the full four games, this was a mismatch. I thought the league was better in the American League than the National League. I thought the Red Sox were considerably better than the Colorado Rockies, and I think they proved it in front of the world as they got it done, breaking out the Bruins for the 2nd straight World Series, 2nd in 4 years. They've won 8 straight World Series games. I don't know how much better you can do than that, and you look ahead to what's ahead for this team, and there certainly will be some changes with the veterans, but they got to be once again considered one of the favorites in the year 2008 as Coco Chris runs into the clubhouse. We see the fans, nobody going home, nobody leaving. It's just an incredible scene as we go back to the studio where Mike and Lou take it away.
Chris Collins in Coors Field, Denver, Colorado. Red Sox still enjoying and celebrating the clean sweep of the Colorado Rockies. Lou Merlone, former Red Sox infielder, alongside. And Lou, we're talking about so many different things tonight. We haven't talked about 3 and 4. Big Papi and Manny Ramirez, because maybe not tonight. Well, Ortiz had the RBI single, but for the whole, particularly the way they performed in this postseason, these guys at various points have put this team on their back and got them to where they are.
You need these 2 guys. You know, as long as these guys stay healthy, you know exactly what you're going to get from them every single year. You know, Manny got hurt. he stayed healthy, he would have put up the numbers, you know, that everybody expects from him. Big Papi was absolutely outstanding. These are the guys that kind of keep this team going. What people do behind them, what people do in front of them, that might dictate how far this team goes. But you know what you're going to get from these guys. You know, give these people a lot of credit. They put some great players around them to make them look even better. But for the most part, these guys keep this team going.
Impressive, too, when you look at Ortiz playing on that bulky knee, which has bothered him all year long. Some question as to why he didn't have surgery in the offseason, but he said it just didn't feel that bad. They didn't think it was going to be an issue. Turned out to be an issue, but in October, with the help from a couple cortisone shots, he was able to get through this, not only get through it, but perform like the Papi we saw so many times in so many different Octobers, and especially in 2004.
Well, now's the time of year, you know, another week or 2 weeks, we start finding out about this guy having this scope, this guy having this scope. Oh, his knee was bothering him more than he said, but he played through it. This guy's shoulder needed to be cleaned up. He played through it. So, you know, these guys right now, this time of year, believe me, everybody's banged up. Everybody is nicked up. So you want to go out there, like you said, a couple cortisone shots. I'm sure it made himself feel a little bit better. You're in the World Series, nothing hurts. Believe me, nothing hurts. You're winning the World Series. You go out there, you play the game.
Well, so you talked about, we're talking about maybe sucking it up for 10 more days. They made sure they took care of this quickly, the clean sweep. You mentioned guys being hurt. Dustin Pedroia is another guy. Popped out a shoulder a couple times in this postseason. Might be something they have to look at, but a guy who played through injury and played extremely well throughout this October.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. You know, like everybody talked about, the postseason, kind of like his season, struggling and then coming on really late. You know, in the World Series, that first at bat got the whole thing going here.
Absolutely.
This guy hit the first at bat, hits the home run, sets the tone, lets the Rockies know that, listen, I know you guys are on a roll, but let's be honest, we're the Boston Red Sox. We're at Fenway Park, and we're going to come right at you. That's exactly what he did.
The Rockies led for a grand total of 3 innings in this World Series. 3 innings. So you talk about setting the tone. They did that from the first inning, and they carried it over through all 4 games. So many different guys contributing. Julio Lugo, the guy we heard from. Lugo had an interesting year. He had that horrible slump, I believe 0 for 33 it was before he broke out of it. But making plays with the bat, making plays with the glove here in the postseason.
Oh, yeah, Julio Lugo. You got Coco Crisp. You got J.D. Drew. All these talks about all year long. You know, what are we doing? These guys, we brought them in to do something, not doing anything. I don't think anybody cares anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. Winning does beautiful things. Nobody cares. Hey, J.D. Drew came back Game 6, really turned this thing around for everybody. So, for the most part, these guys, winning takes care of it. They came in, they did the job here in the postseason.
One of the guys who's part of that double play combination, guy we just talked about, Dustin Pedroia with Chris Collins.
Red Sox second baseman Dustin Pedroia. Look at the crowd chanting, "Let's go Red Sox!"
Yeah, this is awesome. You know, we're in Colorado. There's about 10,000 people out here going nuts. So, you know, it's unbelievable for them.
You had no idea, huh, when you got drafted out of Arizona State that this was the end-all.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, man. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of all of our guys. We've worked so hard, and we're the best in baseball.
They moved Jacoby up in the lineup, and you guys really got together. And I mean, especially that last game, game number 3, the spark that you created, just magical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did a great job all series getting on base, and you know, I got him over a couple times and hit the ball well. So when he's getting on with his speed, we're a tough team to beat.
And you're hitting over 300 in the postseason, hitting over 300 in the regular season, but you're getting guys over. You're hitting behind the runner. You're putting down sacrifice bunts. You got to be selfless to play this game, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, that was my job. When I got moved to the number 2 spot in the order, I got to do anything I can to move runners over, get guys in, just do anything. And you know, it's been unbelievable. You know, I thought I had great at bats, and everybody on the team did this whole series. So that's why we're the champs, man.
Your postseason kind of mirrored your regular season. Started out slow, ended like a house of fire.
Like everyone says, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And obviously we finished strong, and we're the best team in baseball.
When you look around here and all your teammates, 25 guys in that clubhouse, you can point to every single one of them, and somebody did something to help this team win.
Absolutely, everybody. I mean, tonight the game-winning home run was hit by Bobby Kelty coming off the bench. So happy for everybody. Everybody's worked so hard. This isn't just 3 or 4 guys that have carried us. So, you know, that makes it a lot more special.
The emotions for you, you know, where you come from and how you start out so slowly and how you really got it together. You're probably looking at the Rookie of the Year award. I mean, you couldn't have drawn it up any better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. It's been a dream season for me and our team. So, you know, it's been so unbelievable for us.
When will it sink in for you?
I have no idea, but it hasn't yet. I'll tell you that. I don't know. Maybe after I get out of the shower or something.
All right, Red Sox second baseman Dustin Pedroia. What else can you say about the job he's been able to do? Curt Schilling, without a contract for next year, says he wants to come back. Let's go into the clubhouse and hear from the Big Shill.
a force. We have young, we have old, we have, and it starts at the top with Mr. Henry, Mr. Warner, Mr. Lucchino, and their commitment to us and our families. Not right now. No, not right now.
Kurt, how about the job John Lester did?
Unbelievable. Clutchest, guttiest pitching performance I've ever seen. Ever.
It kind of fell in line with what all these starters gave in this postseason.
This was a staff-wide effort, and it starts with our advanced scouts and their commitment to putting together game plans for us to execute. And these guys are diligent in their preparation, and they expect us to be the same. And that, I don't think it's a mystery, or there's a mystery of the fact that Terry Francona is 8-0 in the World Series.
What's it been like watching Papelbon this year in this postseason?
It's been fun. I mean, he's the most dominating closer in the game, and that's a pretty good mix when you got the most dominating starter and the most dominating closer opening up each postseason series for you.
You're putting together a pretty nice collection of rings.
It is nice. It is nice. I'd like to stick around, get one more, and walk away.
Arguably the best big game pitcher of all time over his career, 10-2 in the postseason. What else can you say? He learned a different way to get guys out. He's no longer that hard-throwing power pitcher. He's a crafty guy, Curt Schilling, but without a contract for next season. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Curt Schilling. Let's go back to the studio where Mike and Lou stand by, and we'll get some more stuff and come back out here in a little bit as the Red Sox Celebration 2007 World Series Championship continues.
Chris Collins enjoying the scene in Denver, Colorado at Coors Field. Red Sox enjoying it as well. World Series champions for a second time in 4 years. Lou Merlone alongside me, Mike Giardi. Curt Schilling and the question. People are already starting to talk about what happens next. I'd like to enjoy the moment, and Schilling certainly a big part of that moment with what he was able to do in the postseason and bouncing back from one bad start to perform pretty well here.
Well, they got decisions to make. Obviously with Curt Schilling, obviously with Mike Lowell. They just won the World Series. Let's not get into it too much right now. It's going to be up to those guys.
Long off season to talk about all that stuff.
It's a long year. Let's enjoy this week. But Curt Schilling is getting a little bit older. How much money is he going to demand? Mike Lowell, unbelievable year, but listen, you go around the streets of Boston, every single person you talk to wants Mike Lowell back in this team.
Absolutely, no question about it. All right, Tom Ellis, been standing alongside here. Tom, more stuff going on in the city. What do you have?
Well, the old clock is winding up toward 2 a.m., and it looks to me like things maybe have slowed down. Oh, Chris Collins.
Chris Collins with Mike Lowell. Yeah, you got to go there.
Mike Lowell with his championship MVP trophy. Congratulations. What a series you had.
I was very satisfied. I think you always want to play well in big games, and this is something you don't expect. You don't really shoot for it. I think that's not the right way to approach it. But I think our team, we played a great game of baseball. All 4 games this series, we swung the bats, we played defense, we pitched, and that's a good formula to win.
From wire to wire, hey, with the team MVP, I mean, you just did it from wire to wire in the postseason. You didn't let down LA.
I don't think you should. Just because these games mean a little bit more, I don't think your approach should change. And I think when you give the game too much credit almost, you try to do things that are different. So I felt like I had the mindset that what I did during the regular season should carry over. Why shouldn't it? The pitchers are still guys we have faced, and I think if you keep it in that mindset and that focus, you're giving yourself a chance to succeed.
I think people don't really realize, or they've forgotten, that you were kind of the throw-in guy on the Beckett deal, but what a throw-in you turned out to be for the Red Sox. Where would they be without you?
Hopefully a good throw-in. But we can't discredit what Josh has done for this organization. I mean, he's been the horse, especially this year, and in every big playoff game, the other team had no chance, and that's a pretty good feeling when you throw someone on the mound and you're as close to a guaranteed victory as there is right now.
When you see John Lester and what he's gone through, battling from cancer, you've had a similar scare, battling cancer and beating it, and to go out there, how proud of him were you?
Proud of him as a teammate, but even more as a person. He's such a good guy. It's easy for him it's easy to root for him.
And if I can stop you for just a half a second,
yeah,
do you hear the fans?
I do.
They're saying re-sign Lowell.
I think things will work out. I'm very optimistic.
You're without a contract. You want to come back. You've been very public with that. Sure. But the type of year you had, legitimately, I mean, you got to get years. You earned that.
I think so. That's going to be a factor. There's a lot of factors going to free agency. Something new for me, so I'm gonna take it slow, see what happens. But everyone knows where my heart is.
How many years do you need to get this done here in Boston?
We're not negotiating right now.
Congratulations, Mike Lowell.
Thank you.
Red Sox third baseman Mike Lowell. We're not going to negotiate, he says. We're going to celebrate. We're going to party a little bit. He did what he needed to do. The team MVP, without question, he was the guy who picked up the slack, especially when Manny Ramirez was not in the lineup. He was the guy even in the postseason. You see the hardware, justifiably so. Michael, what a year he's had, and oh, the money he's made, not just in the regular season, but in the postseason as well, a la Derek Lowe, circa 2004, making that cash in the postseason. Because, you know what? When push comes to shove, it's all about, you know, playing big when the money's on the line, and Mike Lowell certainly did that. All right, let's go back to the studio. We'll come out here as the celebration continues. Nobody's going anywhere. I mean, nobody is going anywhere as Red Sox Nation has come back from St. Louis to Denver, and I'm assuming they're all going to be on our flights tomorrow, and they'll be coming back to Boston tomorrow. But right now, they're all staying here at Coors Field, celebrating the Red Sox latest World Series championship. Guys?
Well, they've done a great job out there, Chris, cheering on our Red Sox to this World Championship. Now, I think things have slowed down a bit at Kenmore Square. I see Brad Puffer standing by out there. What's it look like at this hour, Brad?
Well, Tom, when I'm in a completely vacant Kenmore Square, everybody has been pushed out of this area completely. There was, of course, a huge celebration after the Red Sox won the World Series. Everybody poured out onto the streets all around the Fenway Park area. But police have been very careful. They wanted to make sure people stayed out of this area, and that's what they have done. We have some video from a little bit earlier this evening when that celebration was fully underway just after the Red Sox won the World Series. People were cheering, they were chanting, they were body surfing, they were setting off fireworks, but for the most part, that celebration was peaceful. Now, of course, there were a couple of arrests, at least a couple of arrests that happened this evening so far, but the celebration has pretty much been pushed out of Kenmore Square. And hopefully it is winding down. The whole idea police had was to let people come out, celebrate for a while, and then tell people, look, it's time to go home. The celebration can happen again in a couple of days with the parade, but for this evening it is time to head back home. And so far things seem to have gone fairly smoothly. Tom? Well,
it's the picture we're looking at here. They're not messing around with this person they have on the down on the asphalt there. The guy is still trying to give him a hard time, but it looks to me like they have him pretty well under control. Probably had a few too many spirits before he got into the complete spirit of this win. What do you think?
That's probably what's been going on. Of course, a lot of people enjoying the evening, and there's always going to be a few in a crowd that get out of control. What happened in 2004 was everybody poured into this area, and people were climbing light poles, they were smashing signs, they were setting some cars on fire. There's a lot of vandalism. That's what police wanted to keep to a minimum. They did not want to have a repeat of that. They've learned a lot. We've been doing this a lot in Boston, from the Red Sox to the Patriots, and police have got a handle on just how to try to keep a crowd under control, allow people to celebrate, but have everybody be peaceful at the same time. Hopefully that's what's happened tonight, other than a few isolated incidents. Tom?
The pictures that we've just been seeing, was that stuff that was shot earlier, that video, Brad?
We were looking at video from a short time ago, probably within the last half hour or so, Tom. But again, here at Kenmore Square, everybody has been pushed out completely. Police in riot gear moved in about a half hour ago. They went to the crowds that had formed. They started moving them back. The idea was to say, look, it's time to head home. The celebration has gone on long enough. Now, in that, there were certainly some conflicts. There were certainly some people who may have had a problem, or police had a problem with them, and those arrests have been made, but very few arrests at this point. We'll certainly get a better idea later on throughout the evening as to just how the situation went overall from the police perspective. But again, this is a big night. A lot of celebrating here, and hopefully for the most part it's all been peaceful.
All right, you're doing a great job for us down there, Brad. Thank you so much. Now, Mike?
Absolutely. Chris Collins back in Denver with more from Coors Field. Coco Crisp joins him live. Chris?
Not just Coco, but his lovely wife Maria as well. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much. It's an unbelievable feeling, and you know, I don't know when I'm gonna wind down. My heart's still pounding right now. I don't know if it's because of the thin air up here or because of the championship, but I think it's a lot of fun and a privilege to be alongside these guys and to win it with them.
I've been watching you bounce around the field for the last hour or so. You're just having a ball out here.
Yeah, I haven't got changed. I'm still in this soaking wet outfit right here. A lot of guys got changed, but I'm out here having a great time.
somewhat of a roller coaster year, a roller coaster postseason. You start as a starter, you end on the bench, but ultimately you got it done. You got the ring.
Well, that's the sign of a great team. I think the whole year we've been playing as a team, and in order to win a championship, there's no individuals, and I think that's the way we played. Nobody really cared about individual stats, and unfortunately for me, I had the back seat of it. Got a best seat in the house actually to watch it, but you got to go out there, stay focused when you're called upon, go out there and give forth your best, and that's one of the reasons why we're here right now.
The job that your starting pitcher did tonight, John Lester, amazing.
It's amazing. This guy, you never knew if he was going to be back pitching, and to come back and have a storybook ending like this is great for him and his family.
Now you got a log jam of outfielders out there. I know you got a contract, and you hope to be back.
I love it out here. I love these fans right here. I love Boston. Like I said, when I first got signed here, we'll see how everything plays out. I know it's a business, but I'm going to take in what it is right now, go enjoy this float, when we get back to Boston and enjoy these fans.
When you look at Red Sox Nation, you got about 10, 15,000 people still out here. I mean, this isn't Boston. This is Denver.
Well, no, it's just Boston right now. It is Boston. We have that many fans out here, and you know, like I said earlier, some franchises don't even get this many fans at some of their games during the season. So it's amazing, and we like to thank them as well.
You signed with a team like Boston for a reason to get to this point, and you got here tonight.
We got here, and we finished it off. So we didn't leave it for next year or anything like that, and it's definitely a great feeling. A lot of great players haven't accomplished this, and early in my career I'm able to be fortunate enough and blessed enough to be here right now.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Chris.
Coco Maria Crisp. There it is. All right. Red Sox 2007 world champions. I'll send it back to the studio with Mike and Lewis standing by, guys.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Coco Crisp has handled this quite professionally. Obviously got to be a disappointing situation for him, Lou, to not be the guy. Based on the year that he had, as well as the starting center fielder, a possible Gold Glove center fielder, but he handled it well and he made some contributions late.
Well, to be there all year long, be the starting center fielder all year long, and then come down here and really kind of in Cleveland, all of a sudden lose your job to this kid Ellsbury. It's got to be tough to take a seat back, but you know, I played with Coco, man, for a year, and he's just a great kid with a great personality. He's handling everything in stride. He knows what he's doing. You know, whether he's going to be here next year, I'm not sure. You know, you look at this guy, he's very tradable. He doesn't make too much money. There's a lot of teams out there that really, I've seen him a couple years ago, seen the kind of player he can be. You look at a team, right at the top of my mind, I think a team like Minnesota, been to Central, seen this kid for 2 years with Cleveland. They're going to probably lose a guy like Torrey Hunter. Can you deal this guy? Probably get somebody for him. I mean, Jacoby Ellsbury is probably going to be your center fielder. This guy doesn't want to be a fourth outfielder. He's too valuable. You can get something for him. But who knows? You know, these decisions, we'll get into it. You know, we talk about it, but let's enjoy what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. Theo Epstein's got a lot of decisions to make, but right now he's going to enjoy it. He put together the best team in baseball. Again, he had taken some heat this year, but when all is said and done, he gets to celebrate again, and he gets to say all those people that said we were too professional, just like the people that said we were quote-unquote lawless back in 2004, they have to eat a little crow. We put together a good baseball team that played their best when the chips were on the table.
Yeah, they put together a great baseball team. You know, they really, really did. They went out, they spent the money. Hey, John Henry, tip your cap. I mean, to be honest with you, go spend that money. Right. I don't care. I'm not writing that check. As a Red Sox fan, you have an owner that goes out there and spends money. He's going to go get the guy he wants. He spent it on Dice K. He went over there, spent that money, bid on him, got him over here. Hey, thank you. You know, you're a Red Sox fan. You got a great owner who wants to win, very committed to that. You got Theo Epstein, great young mind in the game, and put together a great ball club. Give him all the credit in the world.
Yeah, players have a lot of respect for Theo. He is down there all the time. He talks to them quite a bit. And you mentioned the deep-pocketed owners. And again, the worm turned when these guys came here. They have embraced everything. Oh, Chris Collins, speak of the devil, joined by the conquering GM, Theo Epstein. Congrats to Theo. Chris, take it away.
Red Sox General Manager Theo Epstein, tipping the cap. The fans are going nuts. They're still going crazy out here.
It, man. They waited 3 long years for this.
You're getting used to it, huh?
Yeah, it's sweet, man. I'm proud of all the guys.
When you look at how last year unfolded in that horrific, month or two in the season, to get to this point, you got to be just like, oh, we did it again.
That's baseball. You know, you can never guarantee results. So many things can happen, but we believe in. We believe in the organization, believe in the process, believe in the players, and grind at it, good things can happen.
And the process turned out Pedroia, Ellsbury, Lester. For a guy who prides himself on how he drafts, you've been doing pretty good here.
Well, it's not a one-man thing. It's not an I thing. It's the whole organization. And the best thing I can say right now is that I'm a small part of a Boston Red Sox organization that has accomplished great things, and that I hope is set up for great things ahead. And you know, that's when it's all said and done. You know, you can look back and see the World Series, but it's really being part of something special that we do together that means the most. And I'm very, very proud to be part of this organization.
So you think you can get greedy here? You think you can start stockpiling these things?
Well, that's for another day. You know, I'd like to think we have a good young core and a foundation to build on. In baseball, as soon as you think you have it figured out, it flips upside down and you're behind the 8 ball. So I've just promised that we'll work hard and trying to keep this thing going, and we do have a good foundation.
Now, the one Achilles heel of you has been the bullpen. This year, postseason, the bullpen, stellar.
Yeah, well, our bullpen's always been great in the postseason. It's been a regular season thing. We've had problems, and that's the nature of bullpens, man. You can't figure it out. But this year it was great. We had the best bullpen in baseball, the best pitching staff in baseball, and probably not a coincidence we're standing right here.
John Lester tonight was heroic.
Yeah, I mean, he was heroic for the last year, and tonight was just the icing on the cake, and so happy for him. And what a representative of the organization, you know, to go through what he went through in the class that he did it, and then come out and win the deciding game in the World Series. Incredible. It's a great story.
You kind of know what you're going to get from Beckett, and you kind of know what you're going to get from Schilling, but Matsuzaka and Lester were kind of the wild cards in this, and I mean, they really took their game where Beckett's and Schilling's game was.
Yeah, I mean, we believe in those guys all year long. Our starting pitching carried us, and you know, Matsuzaka in the postseason went through a process of making adjustments the same way he did during the regular season, so it was a fitting end for him.
Will he be Beckett next year? Beckett struggled his first time in, then came back with obviously an unbelievable 2007.
I hope so, you know, but I think he'll make the adjustments. Whether he can dominate the way Josh did this year remains to be seen, but you know, we're happy that we have Daisuke for the next 5 years, and we do it again in a second.
What's the priority list here in the offseason? You've got guys who potentially could walk away, or you could sign them. Mike Lowell to start with, your series MVP.
Yeah, well, Lowell and Schilling were big parts of this year's club, and we're just going to follow the process. You know, years and dollars always come into the equation, but you know, we'll do our best and see where it takes us.
If you had it your way, and money wasn't an issue, obviously it is an issue, but if money was an issue, would you want Curt Schilling back for another year?
Yeah, I'd want both those guys back for another year, but you know, obviously the business of baseball comes into play, but that's for another day. You know, right now we're celebrating what those guys have helped us accomplish.
And finally, before you go, Terry Francona, has he got an extension waiting in the wings?
We'll see. We're going to sit down and talk to him. He's a core member of the organization, and you know, it'll be a great day when we can re-sign him.
Before you go, say hi to Lou Maloney. He's in the studio.
What's up, Lou? How you doing, buddy?
Red Sox General Manager Theo Epstein, congratulations. Let's catch up with Josh Beckett from the Red Sox clubhouse earlier tonight. Is this better than 03 for you?
I wouldn't say better. Definitely different though. I was just telling somebody else. You know, each one's different in its own way. It's great. So this guy, you know, it's awesome. You know, we spend a lot of time and effort going into this, and to come out on top, it's pretty gratifying.
Now, you're a confident guy, but you feel like you've solidified yourself as, I'm a big game pitcher, no doubt about it.
I don't worry about that stuff. I go out and try and execute pitches whenever they give me the ball. And, you know, if things work out on those days, things work out on those days. Some days they're not, and some days they will.
You look at the starting pitcher, not just yourself, but everybody, including Lester today. Talk about the job he did.
You know, Johnny's he's Johnny. You know, he can probably overcome anything. I mean, what he's been through the last 2 years is, I mean, it's got to be the biggest. I mean, none of us even know, but Mike Lowell and one of our trainers. But you know, for him to come back this year and get himself back in shape over the offseason, it's really a testament to his work ethic and stuff like that. But he just went out today and you know, executed more pitches than their guy did.
The way your season went a year ago, to come back with 20 wins, a World Series, and just, you know, be lights out in the postseason, how gratifying is that?
It's great, you know. To me, it's all about, you know, how the team finishes, and we didn't finish up good last year, so it was a very frustrating year in that aspect. But to come back this year and like I said, finish up on top, so it's great.
Red Sox ace Josh Beckett obviously picked up the ALCS MVP and lined the pitch game number 5, but there was no game number 5. But how would you like to be the Colorado Rockies if you were able to win tonight's ball game? Then you get, as a prize, Josh Beckett. So thankfully for them, they ended this thing in 4 quick games. Nobody better than Josh Beckett this year. You got Pedroia, potentially the AL Rookie of the Year. You got Beckett, potentially the AL Cy Young Award, Cy Young winner this year, but really, the big prize, the World Series. The Red Sox able to seal the deal tonight. 2007 World Champs. You just can't say that enough. Let's go back to Mike and Lou. We'll come back out here in a little bit.
Chris Collins from Denver, Colorado, talking to Theo Epstein, and Theo said this is not a one-man show. I didn't make all these decisions, and I was just thinking off the top of my head, some of his guys, Jed Hoyer and Ben Cherington, who were co-GMs, if you will, for about 2 months while Theo sort of sorted out his issues with Larry Lucchino and the organization. Craig Shipley, an important guy as well. And I think if you looked at Red Sox teams in the past under previous ownerships, maybe one guy was making too many decisions. Maybe things were fractured inside the organization. Since what happened with Theo and Larry, the organization seems to be together, and you can see the way it's building.
Well, no doubt. I mean, they let other people work. Very humble. There's not too many egos. These people realize that in order for us to win as an organization, we're going to need everybody. I'm not just a one-man show.
Yeah,
so.
to not to interrupt you, but Tim Wakefield, you want to talk about being able to put his ego aside. Tim Wakefield joining Chris Collins at Coors Field.
Wake's been sitting here for about a minute. Sorry, Wake. We're sorry to keep you waiting.
It's okay.
Wake, first of all, 2004, you're on the field. 2007, a little bit different for you with the injury.
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing from my standpoint, but I think it happened for a reason. And Johnny Lester pitched unbelievable tonight. It's the time for him to shine. Just excited to be able to say we're two-time world champions in the last 4 years.
Do you even believe you're saying that? I mean, it was so long. I mean, you saw this thing. I mean, you saw that 12-year hiatus of the division title. I mean, you've seen it all around here.
Yeah, I have. And our organization has done such a great job putting together such great talent on this field and great people. People ask me, can you compare the 04 team to the 07 team? It's different, but it's similar. We had the same chemistry. A lot of guys have fun. I think we learned a lot from 04, the guys that are here from the 04 team, to be able to carry on a tradition of not being the business type player, to go out and have fun, and we have the right kind of manager to be able to do that.
You're down in the ALCS 3-1. I mean, the season's that close to being over. You guys get together, have a team meeting, and the rest is history. What was said in that thing?
There was never a meeting.
Well, the meeting never happened.
The meeting never happened. We, as the players, we knew what we had in store for us, and we knew we had the right guy on the mound in Game 5, and we knew if we could win Game 5 and get it back to Boston, we had a real good chance of winning the next 2 games, and I think that helped the momentum going into the World Series for us.
17 wins in the regular season, the shoulder acting up. You're going to be all right for 08?
I'll be fine. I get a couple months off, and I'll be ready to go in March.
How about all those young guys? I mean, you're a little bit older than some of those guys, 23-somethings.
A little bit. A little bit.
How did you help make the transition a smooth one and acclimate them to life in the bigs?
No, the young guys we have on the team are very respectful. They understand the guys ahead of them, what paved maybe a path for them, and understand the game maybe a little bit, and they really learned a lot from the veterans, the everyday players, not me, the everyday players that played every day. Pedroia's, talked to Alex Cora's, the coaches, the coaching staff did a tremendous job of kind of grooming the younger player here and knowing what it's like to play in the big leagues.
How important is it to get Mike Lowell under contract first, and then Curt Schilling?
Very important for both of those guys. Going into the 2008 season, I think we're missing one spot in the rotation, which should be filled by Curt Schilling, and definitely Mike Lowell should be re-signed. MVP of the World Series. He carried us through the season, through the postseason, and through the World Series. Truly an incredible, not only an incredible player, but an incredible teammate.
You think he made some money in the postseason?
I think so.
All right, Tim Wakefield.
Thank you.
Class
Appreciate it,
act.
Chris. Thank you.
Can't be any more selfless than Tim Wakefield. Decided he just was not healthy enough to go, and that opened up the door for John Lester, and we know exactly what Lester was able to do tonight. All happens because Wakefield takes a back seat. That's the type of effort that it takes to win a world championship. The Red Sox got that in 07, and here they are celebrating. All right, let's go back to the studio. Mike and Lou, take it.
Chris, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chris. There's all kinds of stuff going on here, Tom. You know what? I'm going to turn it over to you, Tom. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to put it in your capable hands.
Oh, well, yeah, good hands. That's right. Thanks, Mike.
All Steve.
Stephen Iandoli has been monitoring everything that's been going on down around the old ballpark tonight. He's on the phone with us. What's your present location, Stephen?
Tom, present location is south on Ipswich. They've pretty much pushed the crowd further and further away from Fenway at a very slow pace. The Boston police working closely with Massachusetts State Police. They seem they're in levels, and as the roads narrow, they come in and they narrow as well. They've got plenty of people. You know, there's got to be close to 1,000 officers, some with canines, some on mounted horseback, but they really confined the crowd to certain areas. They're not letting them disperse widely. They're keeping them narrow, and they're forcing them right now south on Ipswich towards Northeastern. We did pass one car that was overturned, and that was over on Boylston, closer to Fenway Park. Photographer David Jacobs got some video of that you should see soon here as the early morning progresses. We plan on feeding that back. But right now, Tom, we're south on Ipswich, moving closer and closer to Northeastern, and the crowd has really
Stephen, sorry to interrupt, but we have some important business here, Mike.
Yeah, Chris Collins, joined by Larry Lucchino, enjoying yet another World Series championship. Chris?
Red Sox president and CEO Larry Lucchino enjoying himself tonight.
Yeah, it's hard not to tonight, Chris. This is what you work for. All the hard work and dedication is designed to bring you to this moment.
You got it lined up pretty good. You know, you have the team in a position where you can, as you put it, when you came here, you said you're not coming just to win one, you're coming to win a whole pile of them.
Well, we said we wanted to win championships, plural, and this is the second one, but I think that fans of Red Sox Nation should feel a sense of hope and optimism, because I think there is a commitment from the top, from John Henry, Tom Werner, the entire ownership group. We are going to be a committed, winning baseball team. We're going to. That's why we're in it, and I think that there is a talent base in this organization. Theo Epstein, our scouts, our player development people have done a great job with the young players in the system, and so I think there's some reason to look forward to future successes. Our goal every year is to play in October.
Winning's one thing, but 8 straight World Series victories, you couldn't have imagined that.
No, actually, I never think of it that way. I think of it just in terms of winning. I don't care if it takes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 14, 28. It doesn't matter. I just want to win those series.
So many changes could be made in the offseason. Mike Lowell, the World Series MVP, without a contract. How much do you hope that deal gets done?
Oh, you know, we knew when we acquired Mike in that Thanksgiving Day trade in 2005 that he was not a throw-in, that we had scouts like Craig Shipley and Bill LaJoy telling us that Mike Lowell was a player and that he would bounce back and we should have some faith. So we would very much like to see Mike. It's Mike's decision, of course. This is a business determination he's got to make. He has the right to make his choice, but we hope he chooses to stay with us.
I think that price tag just went up a little bit this series.
Oh, I suspect so.
Curt Schilling, is it under your belief that he'd be best fit at least one more season in a Red Sox uniform?
Again, I think that he also has the choice as a free agent too. So I don't want to taint the evening celebration with too much business, Chris. I would say that, boy, he finished up this season with some really manly performances, and we have a lot of respect for what he's done. 2 championships in the 4 years he's been with us.
So let's go back to Cleveland, down 3-1. The season is almost over. But the guys get it together, and then they just rip off wins.
Well, that Beckett performance was sensational that Thursday night in Cleveland. And once we got it back to home cooking at Fenway, we had a lot of faith in home field advantage.
Now what? You got a skipper who needs an extension as well. I hate to bring up business again.
We have a lot of business to do, but we also have a lot of celebrating to do.
Does Terry Francona get the credit he deserves?
I don't think he's recognized sufficiently by the baseball world for being the kind of successful manager he is, because he's a low-key kind of manager, not one of the flamboyant bantam roosters out there flying around on the field. And so we have an enormous appreciation and respect for what he's accomplished, and his players certainly play hard for him. You can see that year in and year out.
You win a World Series, you got to throw a parade. What are the plans?
Well, the Mayor Menino, who's a passionate Red Sox fan, as you know,
loves the duck boats.
Yeah, he does, and we are going to do the duck boats again.
Another rolling rally?
Another rolling rally. I don't know that there'll be a water component to it this year, but the mayor and the public safety officials are working it out, which gives me an opportunity to say, come on, Red Sox Nation, let's celebrate safely. You know, let's act like we've been here before and celebrate safely in Boston and all over New England and all over Red Sox Nation.
All you've done is win since you got here.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Larry Lucchino, CEO and president of the Boston Red Sox. As you see, the scene's starting to die down. They're starting to kick the fans out of the stand. So I think we're going to wrap it up from Denver, Colorado, Coors Field with the Red Sox, the 2007 World Series champions. This World Series never ever for one moment in doubt, just a better team in the American League dugout than in the National League dugout this year. You know what? They hit some highs, they hit some lows, but they caught fire at the right time of the year. They entered today's ball game hitting .352 in the World Series. You just can't beat that. They beat the Rockies into submission tonight. They throw a party, they celebrate, and a parade is imminent. That's going to do it from Coors Field in Denver, Colorado, from my photographer, Glenn Gleason, who always does a wonderful job. It's been a great week down here in Denver. A week that we thought would end up in a championship, a week that did end up in a championship. We're coming home tomorrow. Mike, Lou?
Safe trip, Chris, to you and Glenn. Great work out there in Coors Field, Colorado. Red Sox, of course, with the clean sweep. Lou Merlone alongside Lou. Larry Lucchino just basking in this, the glory of this all. And again, we're talking about that ownership group, the deep pockets, but they've changed the way this franchise thinks. They have changed the way they've gone about that. I don't want to say loser mentality, but it sort of had that feel. We're always comparing to the Yankees, to the Yankees, to the Yankees. Now they're setting the bar and saying, we're the team. We're the team here. Everybody come get us.
Well, you know, there was a lot of concern when these guys came over from San Diego. A lot of people said, well, look what they did in San Diego. They broke this team up. You know, these guys won the championship. They broke the team up. Didn't have the pockets like this, in Boston. You know, the salary, the payroll, they're getting better. You know, they're doing it the right way. You know, through scouting, through the draft. These guys, the baseball draft is an absolute crapshoot. You know, to be perfectly honest with you, you grab some guy that could be good. He's in high school. He could be good. He's in college. Outstanding the way they're going after these guys with character and just jumping up here a couple years after being drafted in Pedroia, Ellsbury. I mean, through the draft. I mean, it's been amazing what they've been able to do, and it's just unheard of in baseball.
Yeah, the baseball draft, I always think about Mike Piazza was a 58th round draft pick, maybe the greatest hitting catcher of all time, a surefire bet for the Hall of Fame. You don't know what you're going to get out of that. They've been able to maximize. They've been able to hit with their young guys. Ellsbury, a first-round pick. Pedroia was their first pick in the second round. These guys have come. They've come through the system. They've come quickly. They've made contributions. Buchholz, another guy, made contributions. And several guys waiting in the rings. Justin Masterson. They have that kind of talent. It makes a huge difference going forward because you can pay for the free agents, but you can also do what the Yankees did in those 90s teams, build from within.
Yeah, you can't speak enough about that, building from within. You know, you want to create some kind of a dynasty, you got to build from within. All it does is it buys you time. Salary is based on big league time. So if you got a guy who's starting for you, who's got 2 years in, 3 years in, bottom line, I don't care how good he is, you're not paying him that much. So if you can allow yourself to have half that roster, 8, 10 guys or so, homegrown, now you're buying some time. You got 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Maybe you tie these guys up to maybe like a little 3-year deal. That's a very common thing in the big leagues, 3 years, 9 million, 10 million, whatnot. But for the most part, you know, you build from within. You create a low payroll for those guys. It allows you to go out and really fill some gaps, get that #1 pitcher, get that big bat in the lineup. Set up, I can't say enough about how impressed I am with the way this organization is set up for the future.
Absolutely. There's a wonderful book about the Red Sox, No 4 in the Aftermath, Feeding the Monster. And in it, they talked about Theo struggling sometimes with the marketing of this team, saying, you guys don't give us a chance to have a chance to rebuild or struggle for a little bit because you push us, you want us to be in the paper every day, and the fans don't accept it. Well, when you draft like this, when you bring guys up who make the contributions that they had, the fans will accept it. They'll enjoy it because you're able to blend these guys in and keep winning.
Well, that's it. They rebuilt right in front of our eyes. You know, quietly how they did it. They rebuilt during a championship season. I mean, you know, they didn't take a step back. They didn't say we're going to rebuild, we're going to be a second-tier team here for a couple years. Be patient with us, give us some time, we're going to be back on top. Red Sox Nation doesn't want to hear that. No. The Red Sox fan is not very patient, okay? So what happened was they did, okay, no problem, let's try this, let's see if this works. We're going to rebuild and win a championship, a World Series in the same season. I mean, it's unheard of what they did, and it's just, you know, give them all the credit.
Yeah, you do have to tip your caps. Tom Ellis, alongside, I always tip my cap to Tom. Tom, you got some more from what's going on in the city.
We cut Stephen Iandoli off right in the middle of his report, and he was getting into some pretty good stuff down there in the area around Fenway Park. Continue your story for us, Stephen.
Well, actually, Tom, my story has taken a turn as well. You cutting me off gave me a chance to follow officers in a different direction. When last we spoke, they were heading south on Ipswich, and they had really dispersed the crowd rather nicely. So I decided to follow a bunch of other officers to Mass Ave, where they have Mass Ave completely closed off to vehicular traffic between Boylston and Comm Ave. There were a couple of lines of state troopers and Boston police in riot gear that were on the sidewalks going on Mass Ave towards Commonwealth Ave, where it seemed the last bit of revelers were gathered. They kept them moving as well, and they were basically just loud, with no real vandalism to be seen, no real violence to be seen. They were just basically loud. So I have to tell you, tactically speaking, it was really something to see how the officers kind of had it all at levels and organized and communicated very well and did a nice job pushing that crowd from Fenway Park. We did see one overturned car, but that was the only real sign of vandalism. One street sign had been taken down as well, and it seemed every time that the crowd gathered momentum, if you will, or gathered speed or gathered together, and it almost looked like they were thinking about doing something. That's exactly when the officers kind of continued to push them slowly away from Fenway and kept them in a confined area. Never really allowed them to gather any kind of momentum. So it was really something. So right now, just at the corner of Mass Ave and Comm Ave, where it seems like the last bit of revelers are celebrating. There's a chance of Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox. And of course, the vaunted, hated Yankees cheer is being heard as well. But you know, cars that are passing are basically just tooting their horns, and it seems like it's over outside of the occasional yells.
Well, that's part of the good news too, and fortunately we haven't had any reports so far into our newsroom of anybody being injured in that huge crowd that was down there at Kenmore Square or gathered around Fenway Park. Mike?
Yeah. Well, they had a plan. You know, we saw it come to fruition 1 week ago tonight when the Red Sox beat the Indians in the ALCS. There was it seemed to be a well thought out plan, and it seemed to work again tonight. Certainly, you had some rebellious revelers that decided to either take it a little too slowly or not move at all. And of course, you know, there were a couple of nudges in there, but that's really it. Outside of that one overturned car that we saw over on Boylston Street, just as you were approaching the fens, there really was no sign of vandalism.
All right. Did a great job, Stephen. Thank you. And we'll see you next World Series championship, okay?
The 2008.
All right. Thank you, sir, Mike.
I'm on board for it. Let's do it. Tom Ellis, thank you. Wonderful job as always. Lou, a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. You're the good luck charm, Lou. I mean,
0407.
Brought it home. I want to say thank you to all the people behind the scenes, and I know I'm going to forget people's names. I'm trying to write them down. Maury, David Green, Craig, Adam, Kristen, George, TJ. And if I forgot anybody, I apologize. They're all working extremely hard back there. It has been a long October, a rewarding October. The Boston Red Sox, World Series champions. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And we will be back here tomorrow and for parades and for postseason wraps, if you will. I mean, it'll go on. The Red Sox always keep themselves in the news. And there is, by the way, an 8-0 Patriots team we'll be talking about as well. And don't forget Boston College and all that other good stuff. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. I'm just babbling now. I'm fatigued. Good night and enjoy. See ya.
Game over, series over, and the Red Sox are world champs again.
Empire today for your new flooring, where style meets lifestyle. We'll bring quality hardwood and laminate samples right to your home so you can easily match your decor. Need it fast? Empire installs your new flooring next day. Stick to your budget. Save with warehouse direct prices, plus no payments till 2009. You'll even get a free gift. Style meets lifestyle. Shop at home, next day installation, and no payments till 2009. Call Empire today.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
The following is a paid program sponsored by Real Estate Disposition Corporation, a licensed real estate broker. Void where prohibited. Real Estate Disposition Corporation, America's source for lender foreclosed homes, is pleased to announce a one-weekend lender foreclosed home auction event right here in Massachusetts. Starting bids will begin as low as 50% off the previously valued price. You can buy foreclosed homes at auction prices, at your price. This is not a seminar. We are not selling information about some future event. This is a real auction with hundreds of lender foreclosed homes available to the public. This is the event you have been waiting for. Hundreds of lender foreclosed homes at auction prices. Prime properties, prime locations, auction prices. Hundreds of homes throughout the greater Boston area will be auctioned on the weekend of November 10th and 11th at the Heinz Convention Center in Boston. Financing is available right at the event. Down payments as low as 5% with no points and no prepayment penalty. Optional loan pre-qualification.